Hello, class. This is Scott Caruso from ASD 1208. Finally back home here in Boston, Massachusetts after my week in Florida. Um, and similar to the advice I gave last week, let me tell you, don't take a vacation in less than a week two of a class either. You know what? Just don't take a vacation period while there's classes going on because it just gets to be absolutely ridiculous. It is just about 5 o'clock in the morning here on Thursday. I powered through the bulk of the work that I didn't get done on the plane this morning. Haven't slept, but that's nothing new for me being in video game development. Um, and you'd think that I would be bitter and think that everything went wrong while working on the app, but really that wasn't the case. I was at a point where I wanted to continue plugging away at it and not get lost and have to try to pick back up after work again on Thursday. What really went better for me this week, I thought anyway, was I really feel like my JavaScript manipulation, HC or DOM manipulation through JavaScript rather, is really coming together nicely. The thing I didn't have a problem with at all this week was actually getting my data to show up on my web page and clearing it out and replacing it with new data. That came easily to me. That made me feel really good that I was able to do that so quickly and so easily. On the flip side, I had the hardest time actually, parsing through the data and getting it to do what I wanted it to do. It took me half a dozen attempts on both even the JSON data, which we've used already, and the XML data, to finally figure out how exactly those formats played nicely with jQuery. Once I was able to do that and actually get to the data I wanted, it became pretty easily. And by the time I got to the CSV, I guess I became a pro at it because the CSV wasn't nearly as difficult for me as the other two were. But I really just had a hard time getting from external data to something that I was able to use. As a result, the skills from previous courses that I used to get the project done were really my debugging skills. I used a ton of console.log and alerts to try to figure out where my code was breaking and where the problems were and why my code wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And that's something that I've been doing a lot lately, and something that I've encouraged other students to do as well is just I'm commenting and console logging everywhere in my code. I usually end up deleting the logs before I submit the final versions of my assignments, simply because I don't want those cluttering up the code. But I use them a ton to try to debug, and they help me immensely. And those are skills I keep coming back to on the projects and really used extensively on this one as well. All right, so those are the two project-related discussion questions. Let's go take a look at an app that pulls in some remote data. So in looking at applications that pull in remote external data, I originally started looking at big sites like Facebook and Twitter, but quickly realized that we'd be getting into a discussion about their proprietary APIs and how those work, and that was clearly more than I'd want to talk about in a 60-second or less discussion here. So I went to something that was near and dear to my heart, MLB.com, the application for Major League Baseball. I want to focus specifically on the scoreboard that they've got there on the page. You see it needs to update dynamically with scores and innings and whatnot. So, and when you click on one, it actually brings you to data specific to that game. If a game's in progress, you see a box score, etc. Or if the game's already done, you see a wrap up about the game. If you go to the client, the web client itself, and you open up a console, you actually see that they have a JavaScript, an external JavaScript that they're linking to for the master scoreboard, and there are a number of different objects that they're pulling in from external sources that I can only assume they are maintaining at the headquarters in New York. It's actually quite impressive to go through and look at just the sheer volume of things that are being managed in this JavaScript code. And I'm actually, one of the things that's most surprising to me is that they don't comment out things nearly as much as I would expect. But I guess they assume that they get it right the first time. They would need to go back and fix it. But it's really impressive to take a look at and see how much data they're really having to pull in to manage this site. I mean, you're not even talking about just the scoreboard. There's other aspects of this site that they're pulling. A dynamic standings, statistics for each of the teams that they have to pull in. So the breadth of information that Major League Baseball pulls in is kind of impressive, and it really shows the scope and the volume of this media that we're dealing with right now. So that was week 2 and my reflection video. I will talk to you all week 3. Have a great week.